I'd like to welcome three outstanding guests. I got three heavy hitters from the county level of Hamilton County government. I have Jim Neal. Jim Neal is the county highway engineer. We have Brad Davis with us, the Hamilton County Highway Director, and Mark Heirbrandt, Hamilton County Commissioner. So to all three gentlemen, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with me today.
Thank you for having us.
I'm going to start with Commissioner Heirbrandt. This intersection, we're going to talk mostly about 146th Street and Allisonville Road. I was unable to go to a meeting you had recently on that because I was covering another event. But I know that that intersection has been on your radar for some time. Explain why you as the county government had to wait so long in order to address this traffic congested area.
Well, first, it all comes down to money. And we needed to be able to have the funds in place to be able to get this project done. It's been on our radar for some time, given the traffic projections have far exceeded what was originally, what the road was originally built for. I think back in 1997, they converted it to 4 lanes. It was projecting somewhere around 26,000 vehicles, and it's far exceeded that. I think there's almost 44,000 a day that travel that corridor, and it's one of the main arteries that we have in Hamilton County. So it's heavily traveled, and it's time that we have the funds now to be able to get this thing done, and we look forward to the cooperation with the constituents, especially there in those neighborhoods and the businesses around there, to be patient as we get this thing done.
Yeah, it's going to be a big issue as well. I just wanted to ask you before we get off that, explain to people how much money it's going to cost to do this and where the funding will come from.
Well, we were very fortunate to get one of the largest asks from the MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization, of $9.5 million towards this $37 million project. And so we were very fortunate in that behalf. We also was able to save over the years, knowing that this project was going to be coming down the pipe, to be able to have the funds in Major Bridge to be able to fund this project.
I'm going to ask Brad Davis to come in now because I remember I've lived in Fishers for over 30 years. And it seemed like wherever I've lived in my 3 different places, I'm not that far from 146th Street. And I remember when that was widened to 4 lanes, and we were told at that time, as a resident anyway, that should take care of the traffic load expected. But the traffic load was much higher than expected. Why do you think traffic exponentially increased as much as it did, far beyond your projections?
Well, those projections were done actually prior to me. Jim was here at that time and has that data he can share with us. But it's the overall growth of the county. I don't think at that time they anticipated the county's growth to be nearly as rapid as it has been and continues to be. So when you do those projections and you do a project like that, you're looking 20 years out, usually at a minimum, to be able to provide a good level of service in 20 years. So you do a traffic projection, and usually pretty conservative with those to try to be on the safe side. But back in the 90s, when those widenings were done, they just fell short. It was just an unexpected amount of growth in traffic. And once that corridor was improved, I think it drew people to it because it was a good east-west corridor across the county. And we, of course, have a natural barrier being White River. And so it's one of the few that you can cross and get from one side of the county to the other. And then, ultimately, we ended up doing the extension on over to I-69. And then there's a creation of the Hamilton Town Center. So just a lot of things going on with that corridor that has caused this whole area to kind of explode with traffic.
So Jim Neal, I did see one account of that meeting I missed where you did sort of talk about the history of the traffic projections. Maybe you'd want to give your view on that.
Yeah, so since I'm the only person that was here for the entire thing, not saying I'm old, but I am. So in 1997, when we did our original traffic studies, we looked at multiple scenarios, and our worst case scenario, which, you know, if we widen 146th Street and the state does not widen State Road 32, what does traffic look like? That showed that, you know, by the year 2020, we would be expecting just under 29,000 vehicles a day on the segment. And I'm going to, so that I'm speaking the same segment throughout, between River Road and Allisonville Road, we'd be expecting just under 29,000 vehicles a day, or just under 27,000. In 2007, so this is roughly 5 years after we finished all of our construction, we had already passed that number. And we had been very conservative with the growth factors we had used based on how fast the county was growing at that time. You know, we were still pretty conservative in saying we think the growth will continue. The amount of growth has outpaced that. So at in 2012, the Indianapolis MPO funded a study for State Road 37 because of the traffic there. And the intersection of 146 and Allisonville was included in that study at that time. And so that's kind of where everything, as far as what the future roadways were going to look like, that's where it really got kicked off. And, you know, based on our 2021 traffic counts, between River Road and Allisonville Road last summer, we had around 44,000 vehicles. So we are significantly beyond what we thought we would have at our 20-year threshold. And so our level of service for the roadway is at this point deteriorating just because of volume.
Jim, Neal, let me stick with you for a moment. I want to expand on something Mark Heirbrandt already mentioned. There's going to be a construction period coming up on this, obviously, and that's going to take a number of months. There are a couple of issues there. Number one, will State Road 37 and 146th Street be completed by the time you begin construction? And the other side is, how are you going to be dealing with the various people living, the residents, the other locations that are near that intersection? How are you going to be able to handle all that? What can you tell us as we know it now?
So first off, our construction will not start until 146th and State Road 37 interchange is complete. So that's scheduled to be completed later this year. Our project doesn't even go for bid until December of this year. As far as maintaining access for the residents in the area, there will be some changes in the final configuration. And this is based off of, because we are taking this from an at-grade intersection to a grade separated interchange, even though it's going to be a fairly tight urban interchange, there are still restrictions that have been put on us because we're going to have ramps and things like that. So some of the access along 146th Street is going to be restricted from the neighborhoods to get onto 146th Street. So as a part of that, there's some access roads that we have to construct. There's some driveways that we have to cut off, and you know, that will then be tied into the access roads. And then unfortunately, there are some areas where we're going to cut off access, and we do not have a way to provide access to those properties. So those properties will be, we'll have to buy those parcels completely out and relocate those residents.
Thank you for that. That's a good explanation. I'm going to ask to bring Mark Heirbrandt in again, because we hear this term grade separated. And if I'm reading this correctly, tell me if I'm wrong, and reading all the various news accounts I saw of that public meeting you had, is that 146th Street, once this is complete, will be basically over Allisonville Road, and the roundabout will be on ground level at Allisonville Road. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's correct.
So somebody, let's just kind of as a way of explaining things. Let's say I'm heading west on 146th Street and I want to get off at Allisonville Road. Let's say go to Conner Prairie. How exactly will I maneuver that?
Well, there will be an exit ramp that'll be clearly identified on there to be able to do that. But I really think that that's probably a question more for our county engineer that is in bed with this project
Okay.
and understands the design a lot more than I do.
Well, let me put it to you this way, get kind
Okay.
of a bigger picture thing, Mark, since you're the kid. And just for people who know, sometimes people move here from other states and don't understand this. County commissioners are like mayors of the counties. Most Indiana counties, a few exceptions, have 3 county commissioners that basically work together as mayors of the counties. And you're one of the 3, along with Steve Dillinger and Christine Altwin here in Hamilton County. So you've overseen this. You were very heavily involved in putting the plans together. I guess the question I would ask you is kind of an overall question. How will this impact your travel? Not in an engineering point of view, but from a motorist point of view. How will this be a different experience for you once this is done?
Well, I think that our main goal is really to make this a major thoroughfare all the way from I-65 all the way to I-69. That was the vision that took place. There's been a lot of planning coordination. It was very political, but it took a lot of bold leadership to be able to make this happen, because what people don't remember is when I talk to people like Steve Dillinger, who's been a county commissioner for 32 years, and I asked him what's the most controversial project he's ever done, he said it was 146th Street, and that people filled the courtrooms. There was, TV cameras everywhere, but they had Hamilton County had hired Brian Vargas from IU to conduct a study to understand the public's thoughts on this project, and it was an overwhelming 87% believed the project should happen, and it did. And can you imagine 146th Street not being completed? But this is to conduct a major thoroughfare from I-65 all the way to I-69, and Boone County's got some heavy lifting to do to get their piece of it done. But we were fortunate enough to be able to cut the ribbon on the final piece out west to Boone County line last year. We did that. And that people don't realize what a major accomplishment that is, to be able to get that done. And we were real pleased to be able to get that done. But to be able to get the traffic to move east to west quicker is really the goal intended for this.
I want to bring Brad Davis back in here. And we have all read, I think, and heard about the supply chain issues related to the pandemic, the difficulty that contractors have had in attracting and retaining employees to get their work done when they contract for a job. You're talking about bidding this later in the year, and so we're talking a year or 2 out. We have no idea what the conditions will be at that time. What are the challenges that somebody like you and your department would have in trying to budget and project timelines for a project like this?
Well, some of that's just unknown. When you're going to a letting in December, contractors are usually bidding on work they'll do the following year and trying to fill up their workload. And that's what's going to be happening here. We're under construction in 2023. It's a little bit unknown at this time what could be happening with inflation rates and supply. Contractors try to lock in their prices, and sometimes they can't. So it's a bit of an unknown. We are anticipating the prices will not be less, but there'll be some increase to be anticipated. But how much, I don't think we know at this point.
I think until the bids come in, there's no sure way of knowing, that, and that's still several months down the road. Do you have most of the specifications done, or are you still working on that?
No, they're still working on those. I mean, it's an ongoing process, but they will have a majority of that will be done by midsummer of this year in anticipation of a December letting.
Okay, so I've tried to ask several questions. I'm going to ask Jim Neal to come in here again and kind of take your perspective on this. As you look out on that timeline, I mean, you've given a timeline that this will all be done by the end of 2024, and that is your goal, and I'm sure that's what you're shooting for. But when you look at that, what sorts of things could put a wrench in that timeline?
So the things that could put a wrench into that, right now we've begun early acquisition for right of way. So right of way is always can always be an issue. And then once we have all the right of way in place, what we're going to then get into is how quickly can utilities relocate. And with all of the construction that's going on throughout central Indiana, this is a major concern for us. So we're trying to do everything we can at this point to make it easier for the utilities to relocate. So we will likely start doing some tree clearing and things like that yet this winter, so that utilities that want to start relocating as right of way is available can start doing that. Because there is a restriction on when we can clear trees because of the Indiana bat. And so between April 1st and I believe it's October 1st, I cannot drop trees. So we will probably be out in the next month trying to drop as many as we can on the property we already own to make areas available for utilities to begin relocation. That has been one of the things that has caused delays on State Road 37.
I was about to say, I've been covering State Road 37, and the right-of-way issues took longer than people thought, and they found drainage issues that they did not expect to find. And so it's those sorts of technical issues that come up that can delay a project. Well, I know you're hoping to get this done by the end of 2024. I've just tried to ask a few questions. I was not at the meeting, so I tried to find some news accounts of it. I'm going to give each of you one more chance just to say something about State Road. Not State Road, but of Allisonville Road and 146th Street that maybe I didn't think to ask, or something I might want to add. And I'm going to ask Mark Heirbrandt to start that.
The only thing that I would highly recommend to constituents that travel that road is that, please visit our website. We'll be providing updates on that as well. We'll be providing a lot of public hearings and community outreach type programs and so forth, similar to what we have done with State Road 37 with our media people. And, we always ask, just like I tell my kids, there's a lot of things I can do for you, but one thing I can't do is read your mind. And as long as you reach out to me and communicate and tell me what you need, I'll do my best to answer that question for you. So just to the public, just please be patient and bear with us, and we'll get this thing done. But if you do have questions, please reach out to us.
Brad Davis, anything you would like to add about that particular project?
Just that, reflecting on the public information meeting we had and talking with some of the residents, they actually seemed quite pleased that we were going to be doing something about this location. I mean, they've voiced some of their concerns about trying to get out onto the roads now, as busy as they are. And certain times of the day, you can't even make a maneuver, even if you have an access location. It's just dangerous, or nobody will let you in, and those kind of situations. So, construction's always difficult, and we always ask for everyone's patience to get through that. But when it's all said and done, we're going to have a location that's going to work very well for decades. You'll be able to maneuver through there without having a traffic signal to stop you. It will be very, very efficient. Benefit both the motorists and their travels, as well as the air quality aspects of it, and the whole thing. So it's going to be really good when it's all done. We just have to get through it.
Yes, excellent. Thank you. Good points. Jim Neal, any final comment about that intersection?
I think Brad and Mark have hit the real high points. The main thing is this will be a much more efficient intersection when we're done. A lot of the issues we have now is just because of the way the signal works. People spend a lot of time waiting to move at this intersection. With the elimination of that and the use of the roundabout, the intersection will be much more efficient, especially since all the 146th Street through traffic will be pulled out of the intersection itself, and we'll just be dealing with the traffic that's on Allisonville or wants to be on Allisonville.
And I assume you'll have at least the projected or suggested reroutes, but sometimes people, Jim, don't pay attention to that.
Yes, that's always an issue. We will have posted detours. That's something we've been working with the city of Fishers and the city of Noblesville. We've had meetings with first responders, trying to make sure that our proposed construction sequencing will work with how they're going to get to different places they may need to get to, how the final plans work for them responding to calls. And I think we've got a good way forward at this point.
I'm going to bring back Brad Davis on another issue that I think would be of interest to people in Fishers and to the county. A lot of people don't understand that there are some roads within a city that are actually under county jurisdiction. A great example of that would be Olio Road that goes all the way from the Hamilton Town Center area, all the way through Hamilton Southeastern High School, all the way down to the Geist area. And that's a county road. Another county road that gets a lot of attention in Fishers is Florida Road in the northeastern part of our city, because we're beginning to see some growth in that area. What should Fishers residents in and around Florida Road be expecting? Anything in the near or even distant future that you're aware of?
No, I believe the Florida Road corridor, if I remember correctly, is going to see some change with the, I think the Cardinal Greenway pathway follows part of Florida Road, which is a pretty major undertaking by the city of Fishers. We're partners with them in the sense that we'll be building a historical bridge, the Belford Bridge, as part of that overall pedestrian plan. So in terms of any kind of widenings or road improvements to Florida Road, I'm not aware of any that's currently planned.
Okay, very good. I'm going to ask Mark Heirbrandt to come in now, because as county commissioner, you do have jurisdiction over the county highway and roads, and the two gentlemen that are also on here are instrumental in taking care of that. But we are in a time of year, late February, heading into early March, where we have freeze and thaw cycles. We're going to have very cold weather, then we're going to have warm weather and go back to cold weather. What that produces, of course, are nasty chuck holes. How difficult is it? I know you do your best. The city does their best. The state, everyone's trying to catch up with the chuck hole issue this time of year. How do you work on keeping up with the chuck holes that seem to be popping up everywhere?
We rely on a lot of the constituents in the county to reach out to us to let us know where there are trouble areas. I will tell you, last night I drove 146th Street and then reported about to the highway department where I saw potential potholes and some deterioration in the streets. And they got out last night and they were able to patch some of those. I was out again today driving Olio Road and identified a couple places there as well, and notified our highway department about those. So it's that's funny that you asked that, because that's what I did last night, and so forth, to really try to be preventative with what's going on with the freezing, because it's going to pop, especially with this freezing rain.
And Jim Neal, I would have to think that this is a difficult job for the county highway department. Do you encourage people to report these potholes? I mean, sometimes they come up pretty quickly, but do you take in regular reports of that throughout the county?
We do. We have our email address, which is countyhighway@hamiltonco.in.gov or hamiltoncounty.in.gov. And that's one way we receive those complaints. And we do rely on the public a lot for this stuff, because we only have so many people to go out and patrol for things. And if there is a major issue that's coming up, we want to be able to send a crew to that area to take care of it sooner rather than later.
I can tell I've had so many people contact me saying, why aren't chuck holes being taken care of? I would ask them, did you report it? The answer is no. Well, you need to do that first. As you said, Jim, it has to be reported. You can't find out where all of them are just through the county staff. We are recording this, and you never know when people are going to listen or watch a podcast. We're recording this on February 23rd in the afternoon, and the weather forecast is showing possible ice and snow even in the next day or two. So I'm going to ask Brad Davis. I've talked to our Department of Public Works here in Fishers about this. I'd like to hear from you at the county level. How do you prepare when the weather forecast looks like winter weather is on the way?
Well, first of all, you always prepare for the next one at the end of the last one. So when you get done with one storm, you're automatically starting to prepare for the next. So you immediately start to look at your inventories of salt and liquid de-icers to make sure that you're ready. You never know when the weather can just pop up overnight and hit you. But other than that, we are continually servicing our equipment to make sure it's all functional, and anything that looks like it might break down, we fix it ahead of time. So there's a constant look at the equipment, make sure it's ready. We've had crews going with day and night shifts now for several days. And so we typically will split our crews, and we have enough people, fortunately, that we can do that with temporary seasonal people. So we have day crews and night crews, and it's been our night crews lately that have been out patching, doing the patching. Doing it at night helps when there's less traffic. We're not disrupting traffic quite as much, but when it's not snowing and you're anticipating snow, sometimes they don't have a lot to do, so they can be out patching. And so that's kind of what we're doing. We're just always trying to be prepared for the next storm, not knowing when it might hit.
I know talking to Mayor Fadness in Fishers, he said he could use about 12 extra snow removal drivers. He's got more trucks than he has drivers right now. Are you, do you have any openings, or are you still pretty well staffed up as far as snow removal staff?
But we're in pretty good shape right now. Our county council, fortunately, proactively worked to improve our wages a bit for our truck drivers, knowing that the CDL drivers in this day and age are in demand. And I think that's helped us retain people as well as attract some people that come to us in the wintertime. We do something a little different than some other entities. We actually will hire people for a 2-month period, and they come in and work full-time around the clock with us. Whereas some entities will hire their seasonal people on like an as-needed basis, but they just call them in when they need them. So we give people a predictable income for 2 months. And so we've been pretty good at attracting people to come in, and we have some people that return to us every year. Fortunately, they have the experience, but it's always a challenge because people, when the weather's good, like it was in January, a lot of people were still working at their normal job. So, it's always a challenge, but we're in pretty good shape right now.
I want to thank all three of you for spending time with me. You just heard from Brad Davis. Brad Davis is the Hamilton County Highway Engineer. He heads the department. Jim Neal.
I'm the director, excuse me.
Did I say director or did I say it wrong?
I'm the highway director.
Okay, highway director, excuse me. You're the highway director, Jim Neal, the county highway engineer, and Mark Heirbrandt, a county commissioner. I hope I said all that right. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure having all of you with me. You were very informative. We enjoyed having you on the podcast today. Take care and thanks again.
Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.